The Oneidas aren't happy about that. Because in this League of Peace and Power, there are rules. And part of the rules are not only we're not supposed to kill one another if we're brothers in arms, if we're brothers in this confederacy, we're supposed to do something else. And that is, we're supposed to respect the territorial integrity of our neighbors. In other words, Senecas just don't wander into Onondaga land without some understanding. And Senecas don't wander into, let's say, Mohawk territory without some agreement and understanding that we know you're coming. You have the permission to join us. There's respect for territory. The Oneidas, by the way, and this is going to be an important number later on, have about 6 million acres at this point that they identify as their territory. Now, the British are going to come through under St. Ledger and Brant. This leads to a major meeting on the part of the Oneida people. How are we going to deal with this situation? This force is going to march through our territory. We know it's going to march through our territory. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to welcome them? Well, why don't we go and make sure they understand that if they're going to pass through here, they have to have our permission. And so a delegation will go up into this area where this British force is assembling on Lake Ontario and Fort Oswego, and they are rebuffed. We don't need your permission to go through this territory. We're not going to get you. We don't care. We're coming anyway. Now the United people have to decide, and at this point, one of the things that happen is some of their warriors will stand up and say, this is unacceptable. This is a violation of the whole League of Peace and Power. It's in violation of the rules of the Confederacy, and we must stand and resist them as they pass through. And so the consensus then, and the Oneidas and other of these groups did operate by consensus, is that we should then help defend Fort Stanwix and defend our territory against these invaders. We do not accept them. This is very, very important. One of the great warriors that I'd like to tell you about is a man by the name of Honyeri Doxtator. Honyeri is described in the records that have survived as a man of enormous physical power, but very diplomatic in his demeanor. He lives in a village called Oriska, which is within 10 miles or so of Fort Stanwix. He's married to a woman called Two Kettles. They have their own children. They have a farm. They're actually involved in farming operations. They've made somewhat of a movement into European ways of providing for themselves economically. And Honyeri and Two Kettles say, we must stand. This is wrong to invade our... We don't trust the British. They've already taken this territory, portions of our territory, away from us. Another one, greatly admired within the Oneida Nation, a man by the name of Shenandoah. Shenandoah is in his 70s at this time, but still a great warrior, a great muscular man, a man of great intelligence, of great sensitivity. And he has become a very close friend of Samuel Kirkland. I mentioned him before, the missionary, the preacher, the Presbyterian minister. And Shenandoah says we must stand, and we must stand with. And so what's going to come out of this is sort of like an informal arrangement where the Oneidas will align with the Americans. And inside Fort Stanwix, there are 750 Continentals ready to defend that position against the force of St. Ledger.